All right, guys, this is the Atlanta Podcast. Now, if you're not familiar with what this is, you're listening to three black guys give their perspective on the city of Atlanta in a comedic and very vulgar...
Well, I mean, it's technically one black guy and two halvesies, but...
Whoa!
very vulgar way. So, put your earbuds in.
Yeah. Turn it down if you're at work.
Earmuffs.
And look at the info of this episode because we review a local beer every episode. So you can grab a 6-pack of that and chill out with your boys.
Chill. Pop it open. Listen. Drink.
Whatever, nigga.
Damn.
Oh,
I think I did hear something like that.
That's what it is. I was trying to look up an update because Scofflaw said that they didn't do it, but they're fucking lying. I know, because
they're lying.
Yes,
yeah.
but that's fine.
Should we mention that is not a brewery that I go to because of some domestic violence that I was told about?
We have a brewery. Actually,
hold on now.
No, yeah. Let's.
I'm not doing that on the.
Yes.
That's defamation if it's not true.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, you say allegedly.
I'm very afraid of litigious stuff because I'm running.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
I don't want to say anything.
this is
just 'cause I
true.
heard it, you know?
Yeah.
We have a brewery at our brewery, Orpheus, who used to work at Scofflaw, who got pistol whipped. That's why he works for us now.
That surprises me in no way.
He got pistol whipped and kicked through the window.
That is the story that I was told.
No, that's true.
Over a woman is what I was told.
Yeah, that's very true because he works for us now.
So, over a woman?
That is, as I was told it was over
Allegedly.
a woman. Allegedly, it was over a woman, and there was broken glass, and it was bad.
So
Allegedly.
I'll say it's 99.9% true because the guy who got kicked through the window now works for us.
Yeah.
He works at Orpheus now.
So Scofflaw guys, they look like they'll show up and knock on the door. So I don't want to go too heavy on them.
You don't want to drink it?
Yeah, they look like Vikings.
However,
We're still kicking guys through windows over girls.
The reason for the story we don't have
we're still doing it.
the reason for the story we don't have to go through, but it's a fact that he got pistol whipped and kicked the window because it's the legal action. Yeah, so it's not like they can't. It's not like they can hide from it. It's already been out.
Oh.
So.
Did he call the cops?
You got a case number?
The reason, well, it's not my.
Yeah.
Getting his case.
Just in case, you never know.
Yeah.
All right.
Because
You're not the guy.
Right. Of course they
That's
asked.
how we're going to find out.
They asked for that stuff.
It's the twist of the movie.
It'll really piss off your wife if we find out it's all you.
Worst experience of my life.
Because they asked that, because the brewer that now works for Orpheus, they asked him, like, well, first of all, why do you have a black eye? And then, what happened to your last job?
Damn. He applied with a black guy?
Well, he immediately left Scofflaw.
I think at that point you're fired. I don't know if he left.
Let me see you tomorrow.
Right? I don't.
Well, regardless if he was fired or left,
Job security
he wasn't going back.
Is over once you're pistol whipped and kicked through a window.
Right.
That's like how they hit. That's their reputation is. But whatever.
I've never been.
Yeah, they scoff at law. I hate that word so much.
Well, I've never even said it that way.
Oh, that's what it's.
So you're right.
Is that really what it's supposed to be?
Mm-hmm. Right?
Then they really shouldn't get involved in politics at all.
Yeah, the scofflaw is the old prohibition term.
Oh, well, that guy had it coming. No, I'm just knew what he was getting into.
Right.
Anyway, y'all ready to start the show?
We should probably start.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I guess.
What up, guys? It's the Atlanta Podcast. It's your boy Christian,
Justin,
and Myron.
And we're talking to you about stuff going on in Atlanta. And we have a special guest, Brit from Millennials For Abrams. But before we talk to her, Myron, what's on tap?
What we have on tap tonight is one of ABC, so Atlanta Brewing Company, formerly Red Brick, one of their 25th anniversary beers, which was this past weekend, actually.
Okay.
They did a whole bunch of collabs with a bunch of breweries.
Collaborations?
Collaborations.
Okay.
They brewed I don't know how many, at least 8 to 10 different beers with different breweries.
It was really overwhelming.
Go ahead and open.
Yeah. Was I supposed to wait?
I mean,
I'm just so excited.
It's a long intro.
I'm mad thirsty.
Wow, that's fine. That's fine.
I'll go last.
Cool. So it's their Kahuna Matata.
Kahuna.
It's a milk stout with orange peel, pineapple, and coconut.
Does it mean no worries?
That's a Kahuna Matata.
Getting a nice
Nah, I
waft.
opened it.
Waft it.
Okay.
So it's a milk stout, so you know it's going to be dark, but it's not going to be really heavy. So give it a pour. But we also have a second beer that our guest brought
by our in-studio guest.
Right.
This was the studio now?
In the studio.
Okay, cool.
They can't see it, don't worry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a studio of sorts.
I will vouch.
Yeah. Thank you. See, she's down for the cause.
Brit bought her own beer.
Half-drunk six-pack.
Nice.
I brought.
And what are you drinking?
Yeah, what is that?
Orpheus Atalanta. I call it the one with the bear.
Nice.
The one
Which
with the bear.
offends people at Orpheus sometimes. If you can't remember the name and all you got is, the one with the bear?
Oh.
Okay.
I thought you like it offends bears.
You can have one more.
Why are they drinking?
It's just like not how you're supposed to recognize the beer. If I said like the plums that I saw, and they'd be like, yeah, all right.
Does it really offend your people?
Because
I don't think so.
Because
Because people,
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
people like.
It's right in.
You're not going to be able to see the looks for your so that's not going to make any sense. I'm so sorry.
But people know that Christian is an asshole. So.
I'm not an asshole.
That's okay. I'm opening mine.
But the Kahuna Matata, it's
tasty.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's like I said, it's very light.
Looks like coffee.
Milk stout.
It does look like coffee.
It's dark but light. Orange peel, pineapple, and coconut. So it has that tropical taste to it. That feel they're going with the name. The
Like a
Kahuna Matata.
luau, right?
In your
Yes,
mouth.
the.
I'm sorry again.
No, that's perfect. Maybe we can replace Justin with Brit.
Yeah, actually,
Wait,
we're looking
God,
for
wait.
Really cruel.
Yeah.
This is all I have going on. Please don't do this.
Not the studio.
Does it say who they collab? Oh, so this was a collab with Wrecking Bar
Oh.
in Little 5 Points. The
I'm not
brew
familiar.
pub. Oh,
I
you
still
should go.
haven't been to Wrecking Bar.
Reveal my ignorance.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've passed by it a million times.
So have you been to the Porter Beer Bar? I know y'all have been.
I don't think so. I really kind of stay on the west side of Atlanta usually. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you should go to Little 5 Points.
I
Little
know.
Five is
It's just-
fun.
It's hard to get over there, and then you're drinking and sitting in traffic. That's always good.
Yeah. Anything in Atlanta is
Drinking.
with traffic.
Drinking
Yeah.
With
traffic.
cheese.
Yes.
With traffic.
With bacon.
Yeah.
But Wrecking Bar is a brew pub. So
Right
it's a
across from
restaurant.
Patty B's, right?
No.
Or is it not? Oh, okay.
No, it's
Cool.
it's
Then
further
fuck whatever I
down.
just said. I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
that was
Patty B's is
incorrect.
closer to Argosy.
Is it?
Yes. It's closer to Argosy. But granted, they're not far from each other because Moreland, goes all the way down there.
Oh, okay.
EAV is technically down the street from
If you
Little
say so.
Five.
Yeah, if you say so.
Take Moreland down. Do you know
Yeah,
the
if
directions?
you say so. No.
North, south.
It's the
Let's
same.
just continue with what you were talking about. Yeah.
It's the same street, Moreland.
Yeah.
Do you know where Hattie B's is? I don't think you do.
We went there.
Right.
You remember, right?
But it's a brew pub, so it's a restaurant that brews their own beer.
Cool.
And they sell it too. But the food is good. The beer is really good.
That's awesome. Maybe they'll do an event with us now that we've talked about them on the podcast.
Boom.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Shout out to Wrecking Bar and now ABC. Well, they've always been ABC. Their legal name.
Yeah, they used to be ABC. Then they changed to Red Brick.
But they kept ABC.
Yeah, legal.
LLC.
Yeah.
Because it was still on the building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember seeing it.
Yeah. It was
It blew my mind the other day. I went for the 25th anniversary thinking I was going to Red Brick. And all the signs were wrong.
Yeah. What the hell?
When all the signs are wrong.
Well, I just come from the Georgia Tech game and I was like,
Oh,
Where am I?
something bad happened. It's like a movie that hasn't been written, like where you get out of the Uber and you're in a Twilight Zone sort of situation. Yeah.
I feel you.
I still call it Red Brick, but yeah, I gotta.
I did a lot of growing in that area in that Red Brick time. It was like my first brewery.
Oh, really?
Not my first brewery, because everybody's first brewery is like Sweetwater. right? Kind of.
Well,
actually, Red Brick. Y'all took me to
Red Brick and Sweetwater though, because the ABC is the oldest brewery in Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
Dope.
It was 25th anniversary.
Yeah, 25 years before craft beer was cool.
Right.
I guess I don't really think about it.
Yeah.
You don't think about numbers?
Nah, because when you think of beer, you always think it's old. Like,
okay.
Bud Light.
But
It's really hard on Justin.
Yeah, that's a problem.
They don't want to see me shine.
We have an opening.
They're not going to see the hand on the podcast. He's whispering with his hand.
But yeah, so I would say that's one of the first ones too, because back then it was the beer, Red Brick beer early on was not that great in my opinion.
Damn, homie.
You mean like actually 25 years? You weren't drinking beer 25 years ago.
That is a good point.
When did you start drinking their beer?
I was.
He's 48. I'm just kidding.
I was
74.
So you were Lil Myron was going in the pub,
Crap.
8 years old,
yeah, as both my parents are ministers
with a full goatee.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, but that's why they knew that because that's why they fired their brewmaster and got a new one. And they make better beer.
Nice.
When did that happen?
I want to say 4 years ago.
Wait, was their brewmaster the guy who's behind Wild Leap?
I have no idea.
I just know that. Okay,
That he's from.
Yeah, some beer insider information.
You guys are having me Googling.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Wild Leap is a new brewery that just popped up over the last year-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm not sure.
But anyway, carry on.
But yeah, so yeah, that was, I would say that's up there with Sweetwater as far as one of the first breweries to.
How's your beer?
Exactly what I wanted since I did the terrible thing and brought my own.
That's not terrible. No,
BYOB is never frowned upon.
Yeah, never.
Just
Never.
You're welcome.
Ignore our hospitality. I get it.
I really didn't even think about
You
that.
never
Like,
can have
standing there
enough.
talking to your wife, like, whoa. I just brought beer to a stranger's house, like,
Yeah.
and now I'm talking to his wife.
You're asking for her husband.
I don't see anything wrong. Yeah. I'm looking for your husband.
Like, who are you? Oh, you're like,
I
what was
also was
that?
holding the beer in my hand that has my wedding ring in it, so it wasn't visible, and I thought, that was a mistake too. If I thought it all out, I would have done it differently.
Yeah.
Be like old school, here for a gangbang?
Yeah.
Like, what the
1975 is not a tea party.
You're lucky too. She knows martial arts. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that could have went left.
Yeah, you really should tell people that before you just let them wander into your
She's a 30-degree black belt in
Yeah,
Aikido.
That's important. You should get a sign on the door.
Yeah.
Because that's scary.
Beware of wife.
Yeah. Wife is actually
I'm scared.
physically.
I'm scared.
You keep making that joke,
Help
but it's
me.
like I look in your eyes when you say it, and I believe you.
Yeah. I
Hey,
believe.
man, it's
Like,
a thin line between, fear and respect.
I thought you were about to
That's
say
true.
love and fear.
I guess
That's
so,
some
but
Catholic
yeah.
shit.
but
Yeah.
yes.
You're like an honorary Catholic now.
Yeah, I'm becoming a Catholic. My family's
say-
Catholic. My wife's Puerto Rican.
There you go.
So yeah, it's kind
Love
of
and fear. That's a nun thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a lot of love and fear.
I was gonna say fear and
Wow.
respect.
Love and
Respect?
fear.
Yeah.
Well, if you combine the two, you like mix it up, add a little water, you might get like a little bit of
Is
respect.
everything okay at home, Chris?
Holy water.
Do you?
There it
He
is.
said he wasn't sleeping.
Now it makes
Right.
sense.
He was. We need to drive to Lawrenceville and check on everything.
No.
Don't forget how this started before she got here.
Oh,
Chris was in a dark place.
that is very true.
I was in a dark place.
Yeah.
You've been making a lot
Not
of dark
studio.
jokes,
I'm always dark.
but not
I mean,
really.
Not.
Just
Because
lazy.
you do live in Lawrenceville.
Yeah.
There's nothing dark
Are you
about it.
familiar with Lawrenceville? No?
No.
Okay, good talk. Let's move on.
I'm like very, very bad about anything outside of Atlanta. I know that's terrible.
No, that's authentic.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, he lives in
Transplant.
Lawrenceville. Again, he lives in
very
Lawrenceville.
authentic, non-authentic Georgian.
Transplant from
Gotcha.
where?
I'm a
California.
transplant.
Really?
East St.
You
Louis.
just jumped
There you
all
go.
over her answer.
I'm sorry.
No, I
You don't
asked.
really.
I heard her. She said California.
This is why we have an opening.
I'm going to defend Justin for the next 45 minutes.
It's going to be a lot of defense, Justin.
By the end, you're not going to be defending me.
Very true.
Yeah, you'll understand. You'll get it. You know what? You're like, I don't really like you anymore. Like,
this is too heavy.
Yeah.
That joke was a little too racist, Justin.
But in California, what part?
Northern. So when you were like, that was my first brewery, I think my first breweries were Lagunitas and Russian River.
Oh,
yep.
nice.
Ooh, Russian River is good.
Yes, I've had many first dates at the Russian River brewery.
Nice.
So how long have you been to Georgia?
When was 2014?
Oh, 4 years ago.
When?
It was 2014.
Yeah.
That's when
it was.
Yeah.
Oh, so
it's not Jeopardy style. It is.
What is when you first moved there?
4 years ago. Yeah.
Oh wow! So you're definitely new.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do you like Atlanta so far?
I love it. I'm working really hard to change it, but I like it.
I see. So,
Nice.
which is why she's one of our main topics tonight. It's interesting that you just now, I would say just now, moved to Atlanta, and you're so big in the movement to get Stacey Abrams into office. Granted, I would say, side note, you're part of the problem because you moved here and this traffic problem.
Yeah.
Damn it.
No,
Yeah.
I definitely am.
Jesus.
And
Wait,
in my
you're
household,
driving, right?
Oh God, there's a Prius in your front yard.
Oh, Prius.
Well, at least it's
How many Priuses, though?
Just one here. My husband's also driving one right now, which he is very ashamed of, so I'm proud to tell you.
Oh, nice.
Cute Prius.
Like a pair of
Yeah, this is a cute little black one, and mine is a really big white one.
Nice.
Oh, he got the deluxe version. Oh, you got a deluxe version.
He got a C, and I got a V.
A deluxe
Cute.
Prius.
Does it come with like its own ringtones and stuff?
It should. It looks like
Oh,
I should show you. When you go into reverse, it goes week, week, week,
Wow.
like a truck, like a real truck, but it's a Prius.
But meaning.
So yeah, it's a ringtone.
That's adorable.
Nice. That's cute.
It is.
But since we're going to talk about politics and we're drinking beer, has anybody heard about what's going on with scofflaw?
Yeah, let's get into the let's start with that a little bit and then get to the meat and potatoes with Stacey Abrams. But yeah, scofflaw is yet again under controversy. They've always been in controversy.
Yet again?
Yeah. So
They're cultivating an ethos.
I'll say this.
Very good, Justin.
See?
This is
Yeah.
why I keep
Sometimes.
him.
Yeah, every now and then.
No, I mean scofflaw is
Oh, no, go ahead.
Very quietly pour this.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, pour it loud.
yeah,
We like to
yeah.
hear the sound of the.
Yeah,
I'll
scofflaw
probably
is.
read really.
Thank you.
You could have a blast
Move
cutting that
my
out.
beer across the table in the studio.
In the studio. Thank you. No, scofflaw is always in the news, either local or national now. Just because
International.
international.
Yeah.
This controversy, because I mean they literally don't give a fuck. They say that themselves.
They just don't give a fuck.
Wow, that was really well said.
Yeah, it's a rap lyric.
Every
But
workplace.
the way you say, like the inflection in your voice.
Yeah, sounded
Just
good?
don't.
Yeah, that's right.
She's saying you have a face for radio.
Yeah.
That's what she said in so many words.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Carry on.
So this controversy is Scofflaw and Brewdog. Brewdog is a brewery in Europe. Well, they're kind of, I think, worldwide at this point, but definitely over Europe. They have a partnership. I think they partnered with Brewdog last year. I want to say early last year.
Yeah.
So a part of their campaign, they were going to have different events across Europe. I don't know if they were like beer fests or whatever the case may be. But Brewdog has now canceled all of those events because
Shut that shit down.
immediately. Because
Why did they shut it down?
the PR rep for Scofflaw put out a campaign saying that I think it's for the first event was in London.
It's an email form to.
Oh,
right?
untraceable.
Yeah.
You know, an email, we can totally erase that.
So their first event I think was happening in London.
It's a Hillary Clinton joke.
Those damn.
I'm so sorry.
Please don't come for us.
But they said that they would give free beer to Trump supporters. That was, whether they did it as a joke or not, Brewdog didn't think it was funny, so they shut that shit down immediately and said they had nothing to do with it. Interestingly enough, now Scofflaw says that they had nothing to do with it.
Afterwards, another
like emails, damn it.
Afterwards, I think another one was sent out, like apologizing for the first one.
That sounds very Monday Night Brewing.
Yeah.
That's another thing. That's another thing.
What happened with Monday night?
So we gonna get to that.
So we get into all the beer tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice.
I like it.
I'm good at segues, it turns out.
Yeah.
So I mean,
if you were done, otherwise that was a waste of a good segue.
No. That's good too because I mean, Scofflaw has been on people's shit list for a while now.
Yeah.
And I think this last thing, people are like, yeah, I can't really fuck with them no more.
To their credit, every workplace does have a culture.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just cultivating.
And they don't give a fuck.
I'm kind of.
They're not giving a fuck.
To think like, is that okay? Is that what we want?
I don't know what you want.
We want
but
that.
They're
We still like
consistent.
theirs. Yeah.
They are consistent.
Well, here's
Allegedly.
here's the thing. For the rest of the story, a lot of people are just up in arms about them, and they said it wasn't them. They claimed
bullshit,
on social media that they were like locked in their hotel room and they couldn't leave because it was the PR was it was a lot. But
PR nightmare.
I mean, like, have you seen the Scofflaw guys?
I haven't seen them.
Been to the brewery? Like,
No.
It's kind of on brand. Like,
right.
I'm kind of offended for them that people would think otherwise.
Like, what are we doing wrong?
Yeah.
You should get it.
I get what you're saying.
Granted, they could not be Trump supporters. I mean,
Right.
I would be surprised, but you can't judge a book by its cover.
Very true.
But at the same time, probably judge a book by its cover.
Why do books have covers?
Right. To give you a preview.
Yeah.
To give you a preview of what's in store.
Like, why do wine bottles have labels?
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now we've gone full circle to my bear. Which they will not understand also.
Yeah, why does the can have a bear on it?
It was for the Atalanta story. So, Orpheus, all of the names are some tied to
Okay,
Greek.
go ahead.
Yeah, this is why
Greek mythology.
Just blow
It's
over
offensive?
Well, I don't know about offensive.
I blew past all of the story.
Oh.
Just went to the angry bear. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
So all of Orpheus' names are tied to some Greek mythological story.
Mm-hmm.
And this
you can turn up your sexy voice if you want. That's cool.
I'm glad that you think my voice is sexy.
All right, keep going, man.
So I mean, Atalanta. It's not Atlanta. Atalanta is a character in Greek
mythology?
Yes.
Is it a bear?
The bear was not called Atalanta.
But there's a bear in the story.
Defeat of a bear, I
yes.
believe.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bear
okay.
in the story.
Atalanta defeated a bear.
Yeah, I think she
We
was.
might need to Google before we start
we can
saying
pause.
crazy things.
She's a character for sure.
Yeah, that's right. But the bear...
So
I think the bear.
Is the bear angry or is the bear screaming
I mean,
for
the
help?
bear ain't happy.
Or is it looking for Leonardo DiCaprio?
Aren't we all?
I never saw that movie, by the way.
Oh, man.
That
think it's
scene
overhyped.
alone. No, it wasn't.
Everybody's
I thought it would
learned.
be, and then once you see the scene, you're just like,
So wait a minute, no. I said the movie. Everybody's just talking about that one scene. Was the movie good, or was it just that scene?
Good.
it's one of those movies where you're
So
like,
it's just the scene.
no, but you watch the movie and you're like, that was fantastic, and I never want to see it again.
Yeah. Yes.
You don't ever want to
It's
see
literally for old men. You're like, and I'm done.
Yeah, that's it.
We're done here.
I salute you, Cole, brothers.
Leave the money on the table. I never want to see
You
you
can have your
again.
Oscar.
It's just a hard movie to watch, man.
But yeah, but what you just said, I was like, what's the movie? Yeah. All y'all were like, oh,
No,
it
it's
was
a really good movie. It's beautiful, too.
Okay, guys,
was
if you
good.
Google Atalanta beer, you get Bear, you get bear gay stuff. Just so you know.
That's what popped in my head.
My head immediately, but I didn't know if you were okay with going there.
I had so many jokes.
I thought it was offending those bears.
Truly,
what's a bear?
10 layers down.
What's a bear?
And then you were like,
a type of gay person.
Oh, would you like me to
I would
read
be
you?
a bear.
I can read it to you if you want. Bears, cubs, and more furry beefcakes ready for Atlanta Beer Pride, Project Q Atlanta. And then there's a photo.
she was like the bear's looking for Leonardo DiCaprio. I was just like,
don't worry, we're gonna get to it. That's a bear.
Oh yeah, that's a bear.
Yeah. So they're just big gay guys.
Big hairy,
big
hairy gay guys.
Yeah.
Like lumberjacks.
If you're trying to get warm, you just,
Like if Paul Bunyan was gay,
he'd be a bear.
Oh.
I didn't even know Cub is one too?
Is that their partners?
Should we just go through the list?
Right. Anyway.
I hope it's not. No. Whoa. We need to go away from this. No.
I'm so sorry. I can't find the actual story because I'm inundated by what we're doing.
Well, anyway, Atalanta was a Greek huntress.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, this goes with the hunted bear.
She hunted bear.
But
okay.
back to
hunted giant gay men.
We're reeling it back in.
Physically reeling now.
Yeah.
The controversy with Monday night. So we're off scofflaw. They're on some bullshit like they always are.
Proudly, I'm sure.
Yes.
But here's my theory is maybe it was intentional. Maybe it was intentional.
I don't doubt.
What do you mean? Like a Ray J sex tape sort of thing?
Yes. Let's go over to Europe.
Like all press is good press?
Like a Kanye album rollout?
I mean, yeah.
That was good.
Trash.
Yeah. Because
What do you mean?
Okay, now they got it's a lot more exposure than what it would have been with just the rollout, and now you have MAGA people being like,
why are they picking on them?
yeah,
And they go get the scofflaw.
True.
It could be.
And then they could have,
We are living in the time of inception. What is not is not.
I rewatched that on the flight back too.
That's a rewatchable movie.
Yeah, it's like Memento. If you don't watch it twice, you don't understand.
Memento was a great movie.
All men love Memento. This is like something that I firmly believe, and women do not. But we can stand it because it means so much to y'all.
You don't like Memento?
I didn't know all.
Have I seen it multiple times, or do I like it?
I say you don't like it.
No, I think it's like a bunch of really interesting film school gimmicks all tied into one beautiful package that is really interesting for 2 hours. But
what if the guy does pay attention in class? I haven't seen it.
You've never seen Memento? I work in a video store.
We
I've
have
seen
to pause.
every movie.
The studio doesn't have a TV.
Yeah, we're just gonna watch a movie real quick.
Right.
All right, we're back.
Movie fucking sucked.
No, you should watch Memento.
Oh well, it's on.
Because you brought up what's his name directed it, didn't?
We trailed a lot.
Directed Memento?
I don't know if you've noticed.
I'm with you.
Or produced.
You're along for the ride.
I don't know.
I thought you like Nolan.
Oh, who did it?
Was it Nolan?
I think Nolan did. Did Nolan do it?
I think so.
I think it was Nolan.
Memento was cool.
Let's look it up.
But anyway, I don't even know how we got there.
Monday night.
I dropped a reference to a film I don't like.
Yeah.
You told me you liked it.
Yeah, but it sucked.
Let's tell the story backwards. And then the point of the story is Scofflaw is really off their rocker right now. We were talking about how what you think is true is not true. It's manipulation of marketing. It's what?
It was Christopher Nolan.
Yep. IMDb.
Great.
To the rescue.
But yeah, that's kind of that's what
that might be genius.
Because it is. Because if you think about who they are to the core, do they really give a fuck about Europe?
Or anything.
Yeah.
Well,
they're self-proclaimed trailer trash. Self-proclaimed.
That is true. And
you gotta own it. Live your truth, man.
Who doesn't love
there are two sides. There are two sides to it, though. I don't know if it's more so if they care about Europe or not, because they obviously care about making money. That's why they partner with BrewDog in the first place for distribution. Mm-hmm. So regardless, they're still about the cash.
Yeah.
So this is counterproductive if it was on purpose, because BrewDog wasn't having it and they canceled all that shit.
Well, so his point is
if it was, they just threw it out there to see what would happen.
But they had the deal with BrewDog though,
right? So I'm gonna say, if they did do it on purpose,
that depends on the details of the deal.
But if they did do it on purpose, this is a major backfire.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to see if it works or not, but...
Well, no, it's like, there are two possibilities, right? Like, yes, maybe this was a plan to get distribution, and if so, then, yeah, that failed miserably. But if all along their intent was to create some sort of scandal on a global stage because they could, which, like, do you guys play cards at all?
A little bit.
Did you play hearts with your grandmother?
Mm-hmm.
Hearts?
I didn't play with my grandmother, but yes.
Okay, well, I did. She did.
But yeah, shooting a star?
Yeah, shooting the moon is what we call it.
Shooting the moon,
so
excuse me. Yeah.
only the person who's like the wickedest, nastiest bitch at the table ever tries to do it, and they're always the ones who actually can, and they do it because they're confident they can do it, right? Like they know they can do it.
Y'all don't know how to play
And
hearts?
it feels good.
It's been a while. I know how, but
You're shooting the moon. That like.
And if you fail, you fail
it's so
big.
nice too. Yeah.
But if you win, everyone looks like a fool.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other possibility, right? Like, is it a planned attempt to shoot the moon without the other party and the deal being aware of it? Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
they're all the way in Europe. Right. Maybe they wouldn't care.
Or
why
maybe
the
it doesn't
name
matter
of their
because
new
it's
beer.
outweighed by the amount of attention they get, and that's their actual intent. So
That's
they
what I'm
say the
thinking.
intent is distribution, but in actuality, the intent is viewership. Like, how many people know the name Scofflaw?
Exactly.
Now, it didn't 3 weeks ago.
A shit ton. That's an actual.
And then they could hold, MAGA campaigns like, Monday night.
And segue.
Nailed it.
Now we're back.
Yeah. So Monday night's got to be happy about the Scofflaw news because it kind of, I guess, took some heat off of them.
Yeah.
They got in trouble recently by, I guess, all of Blue Atlanta because they held an event for what's his name? Kemp.
What is his first name though?
What is it?
Brian.
Yeah, Brian Kemp.
Oh,
You know the whitest name ever?
Brian Kemp. Yes.
Pretty. It's up there.
Go Brian.
Yeah.
You know?
I know a Brian.
Brian and Brit.
I also know a black Brian, but it's with a Y, so.
There you go.
Yep.
Boom.
Then, and that is okay. Brian and Kyle, you know?
Yeah, Brian and Kyle.
And
God
apparently Brett.
Brett.
With a Y?
No.
What?
Brett with a Y?
I'm just listing like white guy names.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I was like, who spells Brett with a Y?
This one.
new idea.
Right.
Yeah, I think it would be Bright.
It's silent.
But,
it's silent.
Yeah, Monday night, they held an event, which is not, I don't think it's abnormal.
No. Somebody pays you for the event space.
No,
But that's the thing.
They didn't pay, and it wasn't even Brian.
It was kind of
Kemp.
like donated. Oh, it wasn't?
No, so it's this small business organization that was wanting to throw a party to endorse Kemp. And they had apparently a difficult time finding a place to have this event for the very reason that, as Millennials for Abrams, we were anxious about finding our first location because it's a really polarized political environment and you have to be careful who you're working with. Mm-hmm. And their own political affiliations are important. So Monday night says, okay, we'll host it. Like, yeah, we're not holding a Kemp rally. We're holding a party for this organization that we're members of as a small business, and they happen to be endorsing a candidate. And so they have this mental gymnastics where, in their mind, they're cool. Mm-hmm. But then all the people who drink their beer, literally all of them, all of them, find out about this unpublicized event and lose their, like, apeshit minds. Like,
Lost it.
Including but not limited to my entire group.
Yeah.
So I was thinking...
Everybody threw Monday night out?
Well, not
Like
through it. Oh, we were
it's
like,
expensive.
it's like pain. We were like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like, that's my neighborhood place. Like, my best friend got married there a year ago. Like, that is a special place to us. It was a very... Maybe hurt is the word, since we're snowflakes and all.
Yeah. Are you surprised? Oh, in Georgia?
Be hurt again?
No.
Again.
Holy shit. All right.
Do you guys want us to
Commercial
share?
break. No.
I think that'll read in a podcast. Yeah.
Well, see, I was under the impression that they paid for them, so that's why I wasn't giving them that much shit. I was like, well, it's a business. You're about your money. Like, on one side, I was like, hey, they're just trying to make money. They don't care. That's what I thought. This
is my entire point from the perspective of an organization that was hosted by Orpheus, a Democratic organization. Mm-hmm. Orpheus charged us for every beer that we sold. We didn't get a deal. Yeah. We did a business transaction with like-minded individuals. It happened to be that we agreed with the leadership that we happened to be talking to politically. Right. It had nothing to do with the business arrangement that was made for the event. Exactly. And I had the utmost respect for that. They didn't want to be listed as a sponsor. They didn't want any publicity from it, although they allowed us to say there was no hiding anything. Yeah. We're proud to host an event where like an organization was paying. Money Bank didn't do that.
Yeah, that's
all gratis. Like that's a gift.
That's a different.
That's an in-kind donation to an organization that's endorsing someone who's going to put policies into place that are going to harm your constituents as a business. People who need healthcare. Sorry, I could.
No. So actually, I don't know if we properly introduced Brit.
Yeah,
so
shitty job.
Give your name and the organization and why you're here.
Okay, so I'm Brit Eames, and I founded Millennials For Abrams in June of this year.
Oh, the founder.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
You heard it here
so
first.
Fancy.
Yeah.
When in actuality, it's just me on like 15 different social media accounts being like,
all those burner accounts talking shit like, oh,
you should see our Twitter. I called someone flaming hot garbage the other day, and someone wrote to me in a private message, "Do you think the campaign is okay with that?" And I said, "This is grassroots, bitch." I was so mad. I was like, if I got paid by the campaign, I would have to care. But I'm a real person, and stop following me.
I want to see this Twitter feed.
Yeah,
but
it was Chuck Grassley that I called.
Actually,
garbage.
so
Senator.
as you're introducing yourself, put out your information out there too.
Okay, so we're running Millennials For Abrams, and Millennials has 2 N's, which I'm becoming very aware is a huge thing because I misspell my own email address all the time.
Yeah, I fucked up once too. I sent somebody the link and it was like, it's not working. I was like, oh,
where are you
sending
it
to?
There are 2 spellings, and there's some conflicting information. So it's Millennials, MILLENNIALSFOR, Abrams, ABRAMS.com. Nailed it.
Yeah,
get it on them.
Nice.
All of our events are on there. Past events with really cool photography. All of that's donated, which is kind of neat. Could plug a few awesome vendors. All of our advocacy stuff is on there. Volunteer opportunities are on there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what drove you to start this campaign?
I think
on a high level, because I know we can go into detail.
Like on a personal. Okay, so there's like 7 layers. You know.
Those are all the layers.
Sure.
So
As much as you want to share.
It's like a dip.
Oh, I know what. When you said you moved to Georgia, you said there were things you wanted to change. What were those things that first popped in your head?
Well, first and foremost, the stereotypes that had plagued me for the year before I moved here, that I was really worried because I was living in New York at the time, in Brooklyn, and I thought, I'm giving up a city where literally anything can happen at any time, no matter your skin color, no matter your race, no matter your orientation. Like in New York, like you can sweat it out and make something happen. Period. It's just it's just how it is.
Yeah.
Well, my sense of Georgia, and I wasn't utterly wrong, but it was different than expected, was that wouldn't be the case as a woman or as a minority. That it would be harder to make your dreams come true. Like that was really my anxiety, and I don't think that's crazy. I think there are a lot of things that limit that here.
Oh, very, very much so.
But there's a lot of creativity too, and so when I got here, I had this hope that maybe I could do something to make it more free for those of us who aren't white men.
Yeah.
And that creative community that kind of blew my mind when I first got here has been the community that has worked with me the most in Millennials For Abrams. Like, those people have all just been waiting for this opportunity to fight back and ask for some of the power they haven't had in community. And so a lot of the people working with us are like independent graphic designers and musicians and people who are on the fringe of society by the virtue of their own choices. You know what I mean? Like,
I gotcha.
And this campaign, and Stacey, kind of like Obama did in 2007, is giving people hope in a way that didn't ever seem possible in the South, is my sense. I shouldn't talk like I'm from here.
Well, you live here now, and so no, I mean you should.
You're
because
not wrong.
Since I've lived here.
Well, it's good because you live here now. You're part of this community, and you're taking it for the community, so you have every right to do so.
Trying to.
Right. Okay.
I don't talk a lot about being from California because a lot of what Kemp has to say about Stacey's fundraising is that people from New York and California, which happen to be the perfect center of that Venn diagram, I'm both of those, are sending in money from the outside, which is 100% true and happens in every important gubernatorial election. Anytime there's a chance for a shift from red to blue, you're going to see money coming from big blue states, and vice versa.
Of course. I'm talking shit about that.
You think if California was going to flip red, there wouldn't be money coming in from Texas? Like, don't tell me.
See, I hate that, but I hate that society feeds into that because that's a political and a business tactic. There's nothing wrong with it. You get money from your supporters. It really doesn't matter where they're from.
Yeah, capital is capital.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an investment in what you're
everybody
doing.
does that. I don't care what party you're from, what business you own. That's just a wise thing to do. But I hate when people try to twist it.
Yeah.
And make it seem like, well, I'm from Georgia and I'm only getting all my money from Georgia people.
Which isn't even true.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
The NRA only existed in New York. That's crazy.
And then, other people are like, yeah, that's right. I'm going to give my money to this. I was like, do you actually know what?
That's such a complicated problem. That's like we're an undereducated populace in terms of civics and economics. I think in generally most of us, and I include myself in this, are not well versed in how money moves through the world.
Not at all.
If anyone can convince themselves that trickle down economics is even a thing, then they don't understand how math works.
They don't at all.
And people
Just
believe
a ploy.
Yes,
It's just a ploy.
Sitting down to my pockets.
Look, you charge me more taxes, everyone gets money.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not.
And here's what
Right after I save up for this yacht.
I will not run you over with.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
It's always funny how everybody, no matter what demographic, no matter what educational level, everybody knows jokes about pyramid schemes. And they don't realize that America runs the biggest pyramid scheme.
Let's draw a waterfall and a pyramid. Do you see?
I was like I hate when people...
won't read it in the podcast,
The Egyptians had to build up, guys. It's not the same.
But yeah, I mean, you're right in that we are undereducated, and that's by design.
Totally.
I mean, you control, like, case in point, I was on my flight back from Japan. I was watching.
Humble brag.
See,
fucking asshole.
but it.
The other day when I was in Dubai.
Yeah. God, he's such a. Just ask her a question, please.
Y'all done?
I'm done.
But how critical was it to tell us about Japan? Is that critical to the
nothing to do
narrative?
with gonna ask.
You better work it into the story so they can't
here we
write.
go. Go ahead.
Y'all done?
Yeah.
All of y'all
Wow,
done.
we did
We all ears, homie.
So,
all
right,
ears.
right. So I was watching a movie, Fahrenheit 451.
Japanese movie?
No, have you never read the book?
Exactly. Go ahead, no, I'm just.
See? It's based on the book that Christian clearly hasn't read.
It's based off the movie with Michael B. Jordan.
The movie is based
Let's just
off
talk
of
about
the
Michael
book.
B. Jordan.
And Michael B. Jordan is in it.
Talented actor, B.
Yes. But in the premise of the movie is firemen they don't put out fires, they actually burn shit. They burn books and paraphernalia and all of that shit to dumb down society. And everybody gets their information from the Nine. The Nine is the network, the worldwide network, where you get all your information from.
Fox News.
Channel for 5.
Right.
Ray Bradbury called it in 50. I don't remember the year, but it was Ray Bradbury.
So
Orwellian novel.
and everybody. So the main character, Michael B. Jordan's character, he's a fireman.
I call him Mike.
And you don't know. Shut up. What?
We're critiquing it in Japan.
You're right.
Oh, you saw this in Japan?
On my flight. That's
I'm
why.
still trying to figure out where Japan. Go ahead, it's okay.
So that's why I said you were listening, because the first thing I said was on my flight back.
I thought it was only on HBO. Go ahead.
And that's why I said asshole. He starts to realize how ignorant he is just because of the government is making it that way. It's like, no, you don't need to read books. We'll tell you everything you need to know. And people believe it. They're like, oh, well, yeah. They said, who was it? Abraham? No, not Abraham Lincoln. Benjamin Franklin was the first fireman. He was putting out, burning books, that was going against the government. It was like, and they had pictures of it too. I was like, what? that's not right. But I was like, oh, that shit happens today.
Yeah.
Like, everybody gets their information from social media, from another person on social media or the news.
And we like it
quote
because
unquote
it's
news.
comfortable.
Wait, so Facebook is the 9?
It would be part of it in a metaphorical way.
Yeah.
It's part of a fabric of keeping each of us from experiencing the real world as it actually unfolds. Right? So, like, instead of seeing something happen, we're not just watching it on TV, but we're watching what was shown on TV that's now been regurgitated through 3 channels of social media. Mm-hmm. So we're so much farther away from what's actually happening that by the time we get the information about the event, we don't actually know what is real anymore.
You ever played telephone?
Like a whisper game. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. That's exactly what it's like. Yeah. So it's not like it's Facebook's fault necessarily, but yeah, they would be part of the...
Yeah, it's not Facebook or the media outlets. Part of the onus is society. Like, there are a lot of information out there that we can readily look up. We don't have to rely on social media or the news to find out who the first president was, or or the events that happened in history.
Sorry.
You're fine.
I'm manspreading like you guys.
You're comfortable. I'm just over here. It's good. Yeah.
And it's irritating because a lot of things happen in the U.S. government that they did that is plain as day, as it's recorded. It's actually, in libraries. It's in the National Library in D.C. that people will be shocked to hear that the government did. And they don't lie about it. They don't lie and say they didn't do it. They don't put it out there.
And that's always happened. And there's been reasons for doing that, right? Like, that's a slippery slope of leadership, right? Like, it's just like parenting. Like, how much of what's wrong with the world do you tell your kid? Mm-hmm. How soon do you tell them about death? Like,
right away.
You need them to understand that 9/11 happened. Like, there's all these, like, layers to, like, what has to be shared versus what's safe to be shared. And governments can't be honest all the time. They just can't. But
right.
It
Not
becomes
with
a
everything.
manipulation tool at a certain point. And like we were talking about earlier with thin lines.
Yep.
It's a very thin line between protecting the populace from some information that may cause, mass hysteria or panic or something, or conflicts between groups of people, and then just manipulating them for your own purposes. And that's where trust in government comes in, and that's why this fake news time that we're in is so terrifying, and that's why Fahrenheit 451 is so appropriate right now.
Right.
So where should we get our news?
That's an excellent question. From multiple places at all times. We shouldn't ever believe anything from one person, ever.
So you do listen to Fox News?
You have to.
I have to, yeah. It's painful.
No,
one time I took a selfie and one of my girlfriends saw that what was on the screen and knew just from the anchor, that it was on the TV, and she goes, "What the hell are you doing?" Foreign citizen, Brittany.
We trusted you. We believed in you.
Oh yeah, I'm a double inception agent.
Right.
I'm a scofflaw.
I'm sorry.
Please don't cover us.
No, but you're totally right, and it's that thin line of the release of information, because I definitely agree with some things that the government has to do for the protection of our government or our society.
Yeah,
we is definitely needed. The shit that the Secret Service and I don't need to know.
Well, it doesn't benefit us on some level. Like, did we need to know we were going to get Bin Laden the night we got him? No, we need to know that he was gone.
Right.
And why did we even need to know that? To put a bow on 10 years of emotional suffering
but certain things
it's a wartime country.
Yeah. But certain things that, is not known, but it's, would be helpful to know is that, things like, the syphilis experiment on black men that people don't realize that wasn't actually happened, that actually happened, and the government did.
Facts.
Or the bombing, and of Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
They all things that have happened.
Right. But anyway.
Yeah.
Those are things I don't even know about, so there you go.
Hey,
I don't like that.
Yeah. Right. These are things that they don't lie about. It happened, and they did it.
They're like, but we actually did a pretty good job.
Right.
Masterful.
Right. But obviously,
we killed them all, but it was the 30s. What do you?
Yeah.
Everyone was dying.
Yeah. Now, tell us more about the organization. What kind of events have you guys been a part of?
Yeah, so we do celebrazers, that's what we call them. Some people call it partying with a purpose. Basically,
like
thank you.
Celebrate.
I wish I could say that was my idea. I really think I invented celebrazing, but I'll
It's catchy.
whenever you get an email
Celebrazing.
from someone angry that has like trademark, you just tell me.
Okay.
I'll stop saying that.
No, we all know about
Actually, I think
trademark.
Scofflaw had one a few.
Then I cede my copyright to them.
Oh, yeah, we know about that. We're trying to get copyrighted right now because of this bitch ass. Never mind. Sorry.
That's another.
Intellectual property is a really fun area of law.
Yeah.
So we do celebrators. So our first one was called Beers and Beats for Abrams. So we had a local band called Loose Chain come in.
Shout out.
They were awesome. They literally do not have a website, which is crazy. So just email me,
Okay.
Brit at millennialsforabrams.com. Reggie leads the band and they're awesome. So we asked them, or like, it's a political rally. Hope you're okay with that. Yeah, whatever. It's gonna be a lot of young people, like really fired up, maybe even angry. Yeah, whatever. Would you mind wearing Stacey Abrams t-shirts? Hell fucking yeah. And they did. That was awesome. So yeah, and then Orpheus poured into our cups, like commemorative cups, pretty sorority style. It was awesome. It was a good night.
Cool.
Yeah, so we raised $9,000 that night, had 275 people check in. That's not including who came to the bar, right? Like, because it wasn't, or the
exactly.
brewery, because it was open to the public. It wasn't a rainy day, so we got to go over max capacity for the indoors.
Oh, dude.
It was awesome. Yeah. And then, I don't know, what was our next event? I look at my calendar. But in general, we
I saw you were at the were you at the unveiling of the
Oh yeah, that was our mural. Thank you for knowing what we do. So we sponsored a mural in Edgewood. We were introduced to Fabian.
You guys sponsored it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fabian, he's been on the show.
twice.
That's amazing. I'm obsessed
Twice?
with Fabian.
No, he's been on
he's
here
been on
once, but we've been
talked
to some of
about-
his events and stuff like
You should
that.
talk to him again about the mural because he spoke at the event and I couldn't believe. I mean, I could, but how eloquently he talked about as a black man what it meant to be watching this campaign and how grateful he was for the youth, which I don't think myself is young. I'm like 30, but whatever. Trying so hard to make a difference for the world, not just for our own sakes, but for everyone's. It was really powerful. So you should talk to him again.
Sweet.
But yeah, that was our deal. And then we turned the unveiling into a fundraiser, raised like $4,000 that night for the campaign.
Nice.
Yeah. And part of the really cool thing about this is we've gotten to meet so many cool local black entrepreneurs. So like everyone we worked with, from musicians to caterers to like literally every facet of
Was
this.
T.I. there?
I wish.
What the fuck,
He hasn't
T.I.?
called
Come on, Tip.
What the fuck?
I'm low-key not fucking with T.I. right now because he likes a sports thing. He likes to talk shit about sports he doesn't know about. So
Like,
he's talking shit about the Falcons and it's just dumb.
But he's an Atlanta native. That's the love-hate relationship with Atlanta natives.
He's hurt, man.
But he's talking.
Yeah.
But it's
Come on.
stupid.
Okay.
We're not
Hurt
staying
people, hurt
well.
people.
Doesn't that matter?
No,
We're in last place.
We
I didn't say
Okay.
that.
No.
Never mind.
don't have much time.
Never mind. Sorry. Like I said, not talking about sports. It's not about sports.
Guys, I feel like I was more eloquent when we were talking about books.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do celebrazers. We make it so that we can unify a collective group of people that are really hard to unify. So millennials are a complicated generation because the iPhone, which you can't see, I'm holding up, kind of divides our generation. Like some of us grew up with them, and some of us, like our minds were blown when we were like 15.
Yeah.
And that creates kind of an elder millennial and a younger millennial that have totally different outlooks on how the world works, even though we are lumped together categorically.
Before internet, after internet.
Exactly, and yet we are all considered like the tech-savvy generation, which as compared to those before us, we are. But there's still a divide, and it really creates difficulty in fundraising and in politics to message us with the same language, with the same images, because we're so different in the way we approach the world. And so our goal has been to, through these celebration fundraisers, to have entertainment and activities and things that engage both halves of the generation. And it's been really successful, which is exciting and terrifying.
And terrifying.
Yeah, man.
There's a lot going on.
We don't know what
right?
we're doing. This is
Just play it by
I'm
ear.
the man behind the curtain, and I'm telling you right now, we don't know what we're
You're the
doing.
wizard?
Right.
Don't pay attention to them.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Hashtag fine.
Hey, my little dog. This is fine. This is fine.
So, I guess you're getting your word out through social media, everything, all the events that you're doing, stuff like that. So if anybody wants to join the fight and join the group, just follow you on social media.
Yeah, the best way to do it is to go to Millennials for Abrams on Facebook. We have a private group, which is where all of our activists are. That's about 600 of us across the state.
Nice.
So if you join that group, the expectation is that you'll be part of the conversation, volunteer, and come to the events. If you just follow us publicly on... Excuse me, that was an Atalanta burp.
Nice.
Thank
Shout
you.
out to Orpheus.
It's welcome. Super shout out to Orpheus.
That's right.
Burp sponsored by.
It's just a bit on the way out. You're all very welcome. So if you follow along on Facebook, you'll just get all the information you need, and you can decide when and if you want to dive in. Instagram, we just talk shit. Facebook is more legitimate. Oh, Twitter is also a little bit of shit talking. So more fun to follow us on there.
Definitely.
You want the good
I like
stuff.
to see fights.
That's low key why I'm starting to follow Wendy's, because their tweets.
Yeah, they're fire. They're they're like, we don't care what happens.
That shit is hilarious.
Very scofflaw.
Yes.
Full circle.
Yes.
Well, at the end of every episode, we like to get...
Well,
Was there more? I'm sorry.
Well, no,
I don't know.
I just want to say, since we're all talking about the election, to give out the information of when the election is actually.
that might.
Oh, and I was never said why I like Stacey. I just talked about myself for 20
Let's do that.
Yeah,
So okay.
Cut some of that out and like.
yeah, sure.
So it would be nice.
That's great. Go ahead.
So we do have Brit on for Millennials for Abrams, but just for our viewership, full disclosure, anybody should just vote for who they think would do the best job.
Absolutely.
Nah,
But
fuck
with-
that.
So we're not going to tell you who to.
You know what we're fighting here, right?
Yeah, we're talking about pure evil. This isn't.
This is Star Wars without the stars. Star Wars.
Just the
Hey,
words.
but as we were talking before, it's a cyclical problem being uninformed.
That's
so we need
true.
to tell them why we support Abrams, what's her platform, and when and how to vote.
Correct.
It's you need to be voting starting now, but it's not until November 6th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, November 6th is the actual election date. Early voting starts on the 19th. You can already send in an absentee ballot if you're an absentee voter, but you would know that because it would have already arrived. Yeah, everyone should vote in general because the system doesn't work unless we all voice our opinions, and I think it's important that everyone gets heard. So,
And,
whatever.
And educated opinions. So, with that being said, what are the key points of Stacey Abrams' platform?
So the key reasons that we're supporting her, if I can speak for 1,000 people, are her belief in the decriminalization of poverty through the elimination of cash bail, which there's been a lot of talk about lately in California, and I have a lot to say on that in a different venue. But elimination of cash bail, the raising of the juvenile age to 18, so you're not going to see 16-year-olds in prison with grown men. That's right. And the decriminalization of minor drug offenses. So the idea is that we can make mass incarceration a thing of the past, especially since it's for profit. So that's one reason we really like Stacey.
Exactly. Another
thing is just based on our age, a lot of millennials are either starting or planning families. So her interest in universal pre-K and access to childcare is really important. She really believes that women can do more, families can do more if they have the childcare they need. And then the universal pre-K plays into her platform about education, right? It starts the second you come into the world, you start learning. So she's really supportive of public education, and she doesn't believe that money should be funneled into private and charter schools that can be funded in other ways. So public education should be the number one priority. I could go on and on.
I mean, no, these are all excellent points.
Fantastic.
Oh, Medicare, Medicaid expansion.
Yep.
So that people will stop dying outside of metro areas.
You would think all blue collar people would just immediately.
I mean, not just
all those things. It's just like, you know what? I need a lot of all of that.
And that's why I said that's why I said we
I don't want to
need.
say it's logical, but
That's why I said we need informed voters, not just voters.
Yeah.
So we need to tell the people what they're actually voting for. Now, if you want to vote for Kemp. You need to actually look what his platform and then decide.
Yeah.
If you want all that shit, by all means, vote for it. If that's what you want.
Yeah, money flowing into private education, mass incarceration to be expanded because he's very afraid of gang violence, which personally is not something that I'm particularly worried about, but for him, that's the number one problem in Georgia, so whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I love to hear him say that he's going to protect us and Stacey can't, and then alludes to the fact that it's because she's a woman. Like, girls can't keep anybody safe. I'm thinking, like, what? From what, dude?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not that afraid. Is that wrong?
No,
anyway,
not at all.
so yeah, if that's what you want.
And his whole the abortion, like the
whole abortion
no
thing.
abortions.
Yeah, I mean, and it's bigger than that too, right? Like, it's women's rights and gay people's rights and black people's rights, all of the things that we've worked so hard for as a party, as Democrats, to see equality start to happen in the last 50 years. It will be rolled back under Kemp, right? Like, he doesn't believe in affirmative action. He doesn't believe in a woman's right to choose. If you look at any of his ads, there are only 15 white people standing behind him, like
with 15 guns.
or more, right? Like, who knows? You've seen those little
2 guns each. So,
even all the kids.
And they all got pickup trucks. I'm just like,
We're inclusive. We're not animals.
Included every kind of ammunition.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it so interesting with like him and his whole camp, with Kavanaugh, everything about women's rights. It's interesting that, for one, like you said, he's against affirmative action, but the key...
Oh, he would never say it out loud. It's implied by all of his...
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But like
they're all very careful about not wanting to sound like...
Oh, yeah. They're smart in their verbiage.
He's not smart. The people he pays to write down what he may or may not say. Those are the smart, evil people.
Right.
But you're right. You're right. I just really don't want him to be called smart, because my favorite metaphor about Stacey is that she walks into a room full of white men playing checkers, and she pulls out the chess pieces.
Oh, nice.
I love that. It's so what and who she is.
Chess and checkers.
Yeah.
I feel it.
That's a good way to end it, actually. Close it. Shut it down.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
So now you have the information, you have Brit's information, you have your information, some information you need to at least start looking at the campaign information, things of that nature. Again, election is November 6th.
If you need help registering to vote, getting an ID so that you can vote, anything like that, our organization may not be able to do it, but whatever you need, we know someone who can.
Exactly. Which is also part of her Abrams campaign too.
Oh, it's been awesome.
Yes.
That's been a really fun thing.
Also, I wanted to add, now, this app is clearly backed by the red guys.
What do you
But
mean?
it's an app called GASOS. You can open it up. Are you familiar with it?
Yes, he used to promote his own Twitter and Instagram feeds through the
It's all on there.
taxpayer-sponsored.
Yeah.
Still on there?
Oh yeah.
That's illegal.
But one thing, one thing about this is that you can. Yeah, that's his picture.
Well, that's legal. Sadly.
You can find out if you're registered to vote and where you can vote. I actually tried this the last go around.
Oh, with Ossoff?
For me. Yeah, I mean, I knew where I was going anyway, but it confirmed. So I was
gerrymandering
like, not
is a
Ossoff,
bitch.
just the first, the Abrams.
Yeah.
But
there's one more that you should know about. You keep talking on the show.
Oh, well, at the end of every episode, we like to give an ATL salute to somebody in Atlanta that is doing great jobs and not really getting the proper recognition that they deserve. And when we interview somebody, we let them hand it off. So, is there anybody you would like to?
Any person or persons, you can do multiple.
Yeah,
if you
more
want.
than one.
Yeah.
I'm only
Person,
prepared to
place,
do
or
one.
thing. I don't know.
Yes.
I was going to do a shout out to Constance Folsom, who is a teacher, first and foremost, but also an organizer and a grassroots campaigner. She's working like the equivalent of 7 jobs right now to get Stacey into office, and she has a really cool background story that I'll tell really fast. That's
Okay.
Yeah, good.
So she's from South Georgia, and her dad, she's a black woman, and her dad ran for sheriff when she was a kid, and people in the town didn't love that. And so a member of the local Ku Klux Klan shot into her home
Jesus.
to try to kill her father so that he couldn't run for sheriff, and the bullet hit her, and it's still in her brain.
Wow.
She's brilliant, and she's powerful, and she's not mad at anybody. She's just trying to make the world what it should be. And it's also not a sob story. I mean, you could know her for a long time before she'd tell you that story, but it's also such a huge part of what she's doing and who she is. And,
right.
And it's such a huge part of George's story. Like, she's kind of threaded into everything that's happening and everything we're trying to change. And she's really doing it. So, Constance Folsom is a badass.
Nice. Is she on social media at all?
She is, yeah. And she's trying to put together, actually, right now, an entrepreneurship, like, get-together, like a fundraiser with local entrepreneurs who support Stacy. So if that comes to bear, I'll let you guys know.
For sure.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you said Constance Folsom.
Yeah. And on social media, she goes by Constance Raymona. I've never asked her. It must be her middle name. I've never asked about it. Her last name is Folsom.
Awesome.
Wasn't that a kid's book, Ramona? Maybe? I don't know. I'm tripping. I don't know.
Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate your kind words, your jokes, defending Justin.
Thank you.
Love
And,
it.
and also thank you for everything you're doing for us.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for not taking my job.
Anytime.
Not yet.
Still.
Right.
Wait.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Atlanta podcast. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, and Podbean, and wherever you get your podcasts. But if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave us a review. 5 stars.
5 stars,
Oh,
please.
Anything less,
And you're an asshole.
just don't. Just don't even. Why would you?
I wouldn't go as far as an asshole, but. No, yeah, maybe. Okay, my bad.
Less than 5 stars and you're not for the culture.
There we go.
Boom.
Boom. Peace.
Peace.